Hello everybody, Dark Skeleton here, and in this video we're going to be revisiting League of Legends. Now, some of you may be instantly cringing from past experiences where the game may have made you extremely salty. I know, in 9 out of 10 cases, that probably would have been me too. It's an extremely competitive game, and the nature of having to work with a team means that if your team isn't pre-made, that you don't have bonds with the people you're trying to work together with, that it is so easy to get incredibly frustrated. So in the year or so that I've taken a major hiatus from League of Legends, just not wanting to play, it has not changed at all. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's what the game was designed for. Competitive play, 5 people versus 5 other people on basically the same map, Summoner's Rift. So you've probably got to ask, why did I even install the game again? Well, short answer is friends. I think for League of Legends, although it is a solid game mechanically, the game has been pretty well balanced. Riot has always been well on top of their game with that. That unless you're playing at that extremely competitive level where you're actually making it your career, and that percentage is an extremely small minority, so pretty much everybody else, the game is fun when you play with friends. Now, I think that has held stable pretty much since the inception of League of Legends. When you can actually grab some people you know, go into a game, select a champion, and try to come up with unique and fun strategies that you and your buddies can just try out, and then be pretty happy and excited when they actually do succeed, that it can be pretty fun. In a sense, the game to me is like a glorified chat room where you might be baking a cake, and the cake is whether or not you can actually win the game, and then when you pull it off, it feels pretty good. However, at the same time, when you lose over and over again, you do get extremely low lows in League of Legends. And if you do play every day, as most League of Legends players probably know, it's easy to develop that unhealthy habit where even though you're not having fun, you're just playing over and over again to try and win. For instance, people who care about how high they get in ranked can agonize over those kinds of things. But what makes the game so much more stressful than something like Hearthstone, while Hearthstone is still competitive, is that you need to work with those other people. And a lot of the time, people are not actually cooperative. They may just AFK out of the game, they may yell at you for doing something incorrect. These negative aspects of League of Legends have never gone away, and I don't think that they ever will, just because of the nature of playing with random people on the internet, and then it being a cooperative, competitive game. Now, if you do happen to play the game still, and you do something like 1 game a day, I don't think that's that bad. It's just for fun. If you lose, it's whatever, because you're not actually trying so much. You're trying to win the game, but you're not trying to become the very best like no one ever was. Now that I've already gone ahead and railed a bit about the gameplay and how people interact with each other in it, let's move on to what they've actually added to the game over the course of the last year. In terms of champions, they've maybe only added 6 or 7 new ones, but I have noticed in playing those few games that a lot of old champions have been completely remade, and that's not only with their abilities, but also their visual style. So for instance, Ryze's ultimate no longer turns him into a Gatling gun champion, but rather allows him to teleport with his entire team across the map. And then other champions like Ashe, while they haven't been getting new abilities recently, Ashe did get a new ability from her original kit, but they've been tuned quite a lot to where there are different champions that are actually the tier 1 champions now. Ashe didn't used to be such a power player, but it seems like now she's one of the most common picks. But perhaps more interesting than the champion balance is the new chest system that's been added to the game. So you can actually collect chests and keys by playing well in your matches, and with the keys you unlock the chests, and inside the chests you get fragments of champions, skins, including award skins, and eventually, if you collect enough pieces and the dust to fuse them together, you can actually create new champions and skins for yourself. So it's basically an added incentive for players to keep playing, and for those who basically have all the champions already, it's pretty cool that you can still get skins without necessarily putting extra Riot points into the game. Now, obviously, this is one of those things that game companies, like to add to their game so that people keep playing. At the end of the day, Riot is a business, and I believe the general idea is that you get chests at a faster rate than you get keys, but you can buy extra keys in the store if you want to spend money on it. Though, once again, that's unnecessary because you can get the keys just by playing well. Perhaps one of my biggest gripes about the game that still applies to this day is that if you are trying to play even remotely seriously, just to play the most balanced gameplay possible, you would be playing on Summoner's Rift. The other maps don't really have any relevancy. 3v3 is going to be completely one-sided, and then the other modes, such as Dominion, are pretty much just for fun. Now, I almost said that you can't really blame Riot for this, that basically it's hard to balance champions around different maps. But if you look at Heroes of the Storm actually has like 8 or 10 maps at this point. And they're all relatively fun and interesting. They have different map mechanics and they have a different layout, and that changes a lot about how each game is played. But I guess you could say that when it comes to market share and serious competitive scene, that League of Legends still has it hands down. So, is there anyone out there who really wouldn't say that they're sick to death of Summoner's Rift? So in conclusion, what do I think of League of Legends today, having stepped away from the game? I would say that they've definitely made a lot of improvements when it comes to the kits of champion and the overall smoothness of the gameplay, but it still revolves around Summoner's Rift, and it still revolves around having random people on your team, or pre-made teams if you can actually get 5 people together, to go and fight on Summoner's Rift. I think that is fun for a little while, but if you get into the process of total repetition, like you're playing day in and day out, that it will drive you nuts. And I can evidence this by the fact of how people still talk the same way in-game that they always have, getting pissed at other people for making mistakes, not picking a champion that's perfect for the gameplay. It's all about that hyper-competitiveness of the game. So if you are someone who does like to play competitively and you want to play seriously, then sure, you can go ahead and do that. It's good for the competitive scene, but for just casual play, the game will eat you alive. So going to play with friends you actually like to hang out with, yeah, that's pretty fun because they're not gonna give you the same kind of shit. So that's gonna be it for this video, taking a look at League of Legends in 2016. So I've been Dark Skeleton. Feel free to argue against any of the points I've made down below, and hopefully I'll see you in my future content.